Have you ever wondered what happens when an entire institution is designed from the ground up? Not for comfort and not really for learning in the traditional sense, but to completely weaponize human ambition.
Oh, it is a fascinating concept.
Welcome to the Deck Dive. We are really thrilled to have you with us today because we are looking at something truly mind-bending.
Absolutely.
We've got a massive, completely fascinating stack of sources in front of us today. We're talking architectural blueprints, highly detailed psychological dossiers of the students, faculty records, dietary protocols, and even sports rosters.
Yeah, the amount of detail is wild.
It really is. And they all belong to a place called Manaheim Academy, specifically the Crimson Tigers House. Our mission today is to reverse engineer this ultimate pressure cooker and figure out what makes it tick.
Right, and it's a staggering collection of documents.
Hmm.
What's crucial to understand right off the bat is that this isn't just about a magical academy.
No, not at all.
The Crimson Tigers House operates as a brilliant, almost terrifying case study in how environments, institutional rules, and even the literal food you eat can be explicitly engineered to mold psychology.
Right.
The foundational philosophy here is that pressure doesn't just reveal a person's character, it forcibly forges it.
Which is intense. And I want you to think about your own workplace or your own study habits for a second. Think about your daily drive. If you're really honest with yourself, how much of that drive comes from a genuine, joyful passion for what you do, and how much of it comes from the sheer, unadulterated terror of falling behind?
That is the million-dollar question.
Exactly. Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through this material. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the physical space itself, the architecture of aggression.
That is precisely what it is. When we analyze the blueprints for the Crimson Tigers campus, the first thing that jumps out is the extreme verticality
Yes.
and the inescapable visibility. The central courtyard, for example, isn't a place to lounge around. It is entirely active.
It's basically an open sparring ground.
Exactly. Nothing is hidden away.
Hmm.
The architecture assumes from day one that competition is the natural state of existence, and therefore it normalizes being observed at all times.
Wait, I have to push back on this a bit, especially when we look at the dormitories.
Oh, with a layer.
Right, they affectionately call it the lair, but looking at these schematics, they are built for constant friction. They are literal pit stops. The spaces are incredibly cramped, and the beds they actually face inward toward each other.
Which is by design.
But noise is expected, and shared rooms are the mandatory norm. If you were trying to build elite performers, why cram them into tiny rooms and deprive them of proper, comfortable sleep? That seems counterproductive. It sounds like a recipe for a psychological breakdown.
You definitely think so.
Yeah.
By our standard, real-world metrics of health and wellness, it absolutely is a recipe for burnout. But the documents show that the Crimson Tigers aren't optimizing for long-term health.
They're not.
No, they are optimizing for short-term, weaponized bursts of energy. They actively discourage emotional cocooning.
Ah, okay.
In most environments, your bedroom is your sanctuary. It's where you retreat to lick your wounds. But for the Crimson Tigers, rest is framed merely as a tactical pause.
A tactical pause. Wow.
Right. By denying them a sanctuary, the institution assumes the student's nervous energy has to go somewhere. They'd rather channel that anxiety into collective struggle than let a student isolate and decompress.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It forces you back out into the fray. And if you want to hang out in the common room instead, well, welcome to the pit.
The pit is fascinating.
One of the most unsettling details in the blueprints is the furniture in the pit. It's all built on runners or skids, it's not bolted down, and it's not heavy.
Right, so it can be moved.
Exactly. Easily moved around for spontaneous, escalating debates. And there are writable surfaces on nearly every single wall. The unspoken rule of the pit is that if no one pushes back on your idea, you're probably wrong.
Argument isn't just encouraged, it is treated as a contact sport.
Yeah.
Which perfectly mirrors certain hyper-competitive corporate environments we see today, where friction is celebrated as a driver of innovation. And that relentless philosophy extends directly into their dining hall, Red Hall.
The food, yes.
There are no garnished theatrics here. The diet is high protein, clean, and entirely strategic. But it goes beyond just eating healthy.
Right, the food is literally magical, but not in a fun way. It's
Yeah.
deeply transactional. They have these potions disguised as everyday food and drink.
The coffee is a great example.
Yes, if you go to Hadbucks on campus, you can get a coffee brewed with Nobelok or Dong Kong beans. And the way this works is wild. It's not just a caffeine buzz. It literally borrows energy from your own near future.
Giving you a +2 to focus right now.
Exactly. You get laser focus for your exam today, but tomorrow you get hit with a -2 focus penalty. You experience this crushing brain fog to pay off the debt.
And then there's soup and such, where the soup builds your athletics but actively dulls your focus.
It is the ultimate form of burning the candle at both ends.
We see exact parallels to this in modern biohacking. Think about executives taking nootropics to squeeze out an extra hour of productivity. The underlying philosophy here is that your body is a tool. Treat it intelligently, yes, but exploit it.
Which brings us to the architect of this whole system, Director Ruth Roslin.
Ah, the general.
We have her faculty records here, and she is essentially the 4-star general running the Crimson Tigers. She rose from absolute poverty to get to where she is, and she leads with brutal honesty and strategic provocation.
There's a detail in her file that's so telling.
The drawer.
Yes. In her immaculate office, she has a single locked drawer, and inside are the few meager possessions she arrived at the academy with years ago. That's it.
That locked drawer is such a masterclass in performative minimalism.
It reveals her core drive.
Yeah.
Ruth doesn't demand excellence simply for the glory of it. She demands it because her deepest fear is powerlessness.
Right.
For her, comfort is the first step toward erasure. She genuinely believes that slowing down is dangerous.
And that creates a profound trickle-down effect on the students. Her paranoia sets this baseline tone where the students instantly realize the world is merciless.
Exactly. You don't come to the Crimson Tigers just to survive. You come to be armed for absolute dominance.
So if you take this brutal philosophy, this hyper-visible architecture, and this transactional diet, what kind of person does that actually create? Let's dive into the student profiles.
The performers and the intellectuals.
Right. Let's look at the heavy hitters first. You have Liz Hadbucks, the reigning queen bee and coffee heiress. She commands every room. And then you have Chad Griffith, the muscle-bound bully of the house who treats every interaction like a battering ram.
At first glance, they seem like high school tropes. But when you dig into the psychology, Liz isn't just vain. She is absolutely terrified of invisibility.
If the applause stops, she fades away.
Exactly. And Chad operates on the exact same wavelength. He isn't just aggressive, he's deeply afraid of silence and losing his status. Their bravado is armor.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What happens when you are brilliant, but you're trapped in this ecosystem where you're never quite the absolute best?
The curse of almost.
Yes. Look at Sydney Distenzik. She's an athletic polymath, universally admired, but she is absolutely exhausted by always being dependable but never undeniably first.
And Jordan Ward is in a similar boat.
Right, the perfect valedictorian. Jordan views her excellence not as a permanent trait, but as a temporary lease that could be revoked the second she makes a mistake.
Contrast that terror of trying with someone like Elmo Days, the lazy genius.
He walks around looking half asleep but aces everything.
But Elmo's apathy is a highly calibrated shield. If he actually tries his hardest in this pressure cooker and still fails, it would destroy his identity. It's psychologically safer to pretend not to care.
And then there's Reagan Lee, the meticulous archivist. She fears that if she lowers her standards even a fraction, she'll be entirely erased from the academic record. The fear of trying versus the fear of stopping.
The environment weaponizes whatever you care about most.
It really does.
Yeah.
Which brings up the students who refuse to play the standard game. The records call them the edge dwellers, the rogues and rebels.
They try to game the system by rejecting its premise.
Take Robert Astermath. Everyone calls him the vampire because of his gothic aesthetic. But the files show he hates the label. He wants to be respected for his intellect, but the academy forced that projection onto him.
And then there's Sarah Vanderbilt, the guarded goth girl, fighting those same forced labels.
Right, and you see students using distance as armor. Autumn Fallon seeks autonomy and fears exposure, while Devin Grazzo believes closeness is a flat-out liability.
They survive the Crimson Tigers by becoming untouchable. You remove yourself from the board.
Then you have the rule benders. Brett Callahan uses this snake-like charm to hide his fear of mediocrity. Dean Hemsky tests boundaries because his nepotism makes him feel completely untested.
And Trevor Presaw, the greaser mechanic.
Yeah, he feels totally out of place, but just wants to build his mana-powered motorcycle. They're all finding loopholes.
But we have to talk about the true predators.
Oh, yes. The ones who internalize Director Ruth's philosophy to its terrifying conclusion.
Vindicta Lafayette is a prime example. She coldly believes that respect without fear is an illusion.
And Josh Rittrer, The guy literally studies chaos and how systems fail. They represent the ultimate, unrestrained conclusion of the tiger philosophy. It is wild. You take all these fragile, terrified egos, the performers, the intellectuals, the predators, and you force them to live together. But it goes a step further. You put them on a sports field together.
The crucible of Manabal.
Manaheim's premier magical sport. The practice field is a literal glowing red arena with impact sparks flying off the grass.
And this is where the dynamic gets fascinating. How do you take highly individualized, deeply insecure students and make them work together?
Like Ty Clyde, who hides his true self behind an all-star athlete projection. Or Zach Thompson, who obsesses over perfect technique. If everyone is out for themselves, shouldn't the team just implode?
You would think so. But the mechanics of the sport explicitly demand synchronization. Individual brilliance isn't enough to win.
The game forces the lesson.
Precisely. Under extreme pressure, against an opposing force, cooperation is the only way to survive the field. It takes their isolated ambitions and forcibly welds them into a collective mechanism.
So what does this all mean for us? When you step back and look at the whole picture, the blueprints of the lair, the time-borrowing coffee, Ruth's brutal psychology, the Crimson Tiger's house isn't just a fantasy setting.
No, not at all.
It's a mirror reflecting our own hustle culture. It's an ecosystem that proves you can engineer incredibly high performance if you are willing to weaponize a person's deepest insecurities.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really asks you to reflect on your own drives. Look at your own life. Are you running toward a goal because you genuinely want to achieve it?
Right.
Or are you simply running away from the fear of being ordinary, unfiled, or unseen?
It's a tough question.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Manaheim teaches its students how to excel, how to optimize their diets, and how to fight, long before it ever teaches them how to rest.
Yeah.
If your entire identity is built on the act of climbing the mountain, what happens to you the moment you finally reach the summit and realize you never learned how to simply stand still?